Hello, caregivers. Today in this video, we're going to talk about the fact that it's okay to not be okay when you're raising a child with a disability. Let's get into it. My name is Michelle Thorne, and I'm the mother of two amazing autistic children and the co-founder of Care for the Caregivers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Gabby Fici, and I am the other co-founder here at Care for the Caregivers and a woman with a disability myself. So I'm really excited to be talking to you guys about this today. The first thing we want to talk to you guys about is that we know that feeling grief around your child's disability diagnosis is normal. And I think it's important to allow ourselves to be able to have that conversation and talk about it.
Yeah, because when we have a kid with a disability, it's often unexpected, right? Many of us did not go into motherhood thinking that we were going to have a child with a disability. It's something that just kind of happened. And when you're getting ready to have kids and you're thinking about what your family is going to look like and be like, right? You build all of these expectations up of what my family's going to do, where we're going to travel, what my kids are going to do, how my kids are going to grow up, what they're going to do when they get older, right? We have all these
All the
expectations,
things.
all these things. And then when you get a disability diagnosis, that can kind of rattle you a little bit and it can shake you a little bit and it throws off the idea of what we think our kids can do because of how society frames disability.
Yeah, and I think that's another really important point because we don't really look at what society says about disability until we are experiencing it ourselves. So, oftentimes in normal typical settings we're taught that disability is a result of something the individual did wrong or something that we have to fix or change. And what we're trying to do here is help you guys shift perspective to really looking at disability as a societal responsibility, right? So society creating disability. And we have a whole nother video that explains what that looks like and how society is more linked to disability than the individual. So we'll link that here at the bottom, and I encourage you guys to go check that out too.
Yeah, and it's not just right how society has trained us to look at disability, but it's also these added expectations that are put on caregivers. I
So
mean,
many.
so many, right? Like I'm expected to be a PT, an OT, a speech therapist, an ABA therapist. I'm expected to take my kid to and from doctor's appointments, right? And your whole life kind of just gets sucked into and absorbed by your kid's diagnosis. And it's not, like I said, anything that any of us ever expected to do. I mean, when you have a kid with a disability, you learn a whole nother language, you have all these crazy acronyms, right? And your kids need just so much extra care and support. And as a caregiver, as a parent, you're just expected to wear all the hats and to do all the things.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think we put a lot of responsibility on you guys that, again, doesn't really get talked about, right? Because the center of attention goes to the child with a disability. And I think the other really important distinction to make here is that even though the anger and the grief and the guilt and all of those negative emotions can be totally normal, I think the distinction is where we put those emotions. So even though the grief makes total sense, what I like to say is that you don't have to grieve the person your child is, right? I fully believe that they are who they're meant to be and they have things that they can contribute to this world exactly as they came to it. But it's okay to feel anger and guilt around the fact that they have to live in a society that wasn't created for them. So now all the barriers that you guys have to face that your family didn't have to face before do exist. And it's okay to feel grief around that experience.
Yeah, and I love how you frame that because after hearing you talk for the first time when you talked about that, just that concept of it's not really our kids, it's society. It's the fact that society is just not built for our children. That
Yeah.
makes a huge difference in how you perceive what their struggles are and that their struggles are not because of them. It's because of society? Why do we have to go into a store and hear music blaring? Why do we have to go to oh my God, we were at the movie theater the other day and it was so loud. I was like, I want to go home. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right? It's society that makes it hard for our kids to interact in the world, and it's not really them. And I think too, it's moving from a place of denial of what the situation is with our kids, right? And into more of an acceptance of who they are and what kind of supports they need and what kind of advocacy maybe we need to do as parents to make the world better for them is a really great way to kind of shift how we see our kids and how we think about what their possibilities are for them in the future.
Yeah, and I think this even links to conversations that are really important to have with them. Because I can tell you from experience as a disabled person in this society that wasn't built for me, it's a frustrating experience. So if we can be open and honest about that from a young age, then you're giving them the space to have these conversations and express those feelings and get closer to accepting who they are. So
Yeah.
that's what we encourage you guys to do. And we're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the premise of this video is it's okay to not be okay because there's a lot of extra emotional stuff that comes with raising a kid with a disability, but what is unacceptable is to stay in that space. Right? I think many of us can get stuck in that space of depression and anxiety, and we don't want any of you to be stuck in that space. We want to help you move to a place where you accept your child for who they are, where you are okay raising a kiddo with a disability, and you accept and embrace them for who they are. And I think Gabby does a lot of work with families as a therapist to help move them into that direction. We run a lot of support groups that help you just make sure you feel like you're not alone, because I think that's
Mhm.
critical too. And
We all
Gabby,
need community. We all need people that understand our experience and what we're going through, and we're here to hopefully provide you guys with that community. So we're excited to have you.
yeah, so check out the description. We have links to our support group, to our counseling pages, and we look forward to seeing you at one of our Zoom counseling sessions. I don't care where you are in the world, you can jump on and be a part of this amazing community. If you're in Arizona, we look forward to seeing you at one of our in person events.
Bye, guys.